Wow, did you see the story about Google? Google, this was over in BBC Technology News. I thought it was interesting that I didn't see any coverage of this in any of the American press. It was the BBC that reported it. But it took place in Houston, Texas, according to a local news report. It reported by the local news. Basically, the net of this story is that Google reads your email, and this guy was sending child porn pictures to somebody, and they identified them and they turned him into the local police. Now, there's two words that you can use that basically justify any kind of legislation or draconian police activity, and they are terrorism and child porn. All that said, though, this raises a really interesting question. If Google has decided to participate with law enforcement, if Google has decided to read all of our emails and decide when we've committed a crime and when we have, turn us over to law enforcement, what crimes are they looking for? And where could this go? Once again, everybody hates child porn, everybody hates terrorism. So I'm guessing that even if this was a big story in the United States, like it is over in the UK, even though it happened in Houston in the United States, this guy that well, here's the story from the BBC. Google has revealed the identity of a user after discovering child abuse imagery in the man's Gmail account in Houston, Texas, according to a local news report. Google alerted a child protection agency, which notified the police, and the man was arrested. It turns out that the guy was, had been previously busted for sex offenses of some kind, apparently child porn. So, people look at that and go, child porn. Come on, the guy deserves to go to jail, right? But it raises a really interesting question. Google has decided to get in the law enforcement business. There are a number of states in the United States where it is where having a sexual relationship outside of marriage, where infidelity is illegal. Are they looking for people having affairs? Arguably all over the country, even in those states like Colorado and Washington State, where buying pot is legal, at the federal level it's illegal. Are they looking for people who are using pot? Are they looking for people who might be conspiring to do things like unfurling a giant pink banner that says war criminal, and the next time Dick Cheney is doing a book signing? It's a crime. When I was in was it Minneapolis, St. Paul, wherever the Republican National Convention was. It was either there or Denver. I think Denver was Democratic and Minneapolis was the Republican. Yeah, it was St. Paul. Thank you, Jim. When I was there back, a couple of years ago when the Republicans had their nominating convention, the police preemptively arrested a bunch of young people who were planning to show up and protest or perhaps even disrupt the Republican National Convention. The legality of that has been questioned. I think actually one or more of those young people have successfully challenged that in court. But, did Google play a role in that? And of course, it's not just Google. Louise did a search earlier this morning on these these policies. And Microsoft, Yahoo, a bunch of these organizations that provide free mail monitor the mail. Now, they say that they're doing it, that they read every single message you send or receive in order to tailor the ad that they're giving to you. After all, it's a free email service. You check the box, yes, I accept the terms and conditions. And it says as part of your free email, we get to read it all. And based on what we read, if we see that you're talking a lot about breast cancer, we will send you ads for wigs for chemotherapy. If we see a lot of a lot of conversation about, how much you love bicycling, we'll send you ads for companies that sell marathon bikes or whatever. That in and of itself is pretty creepy. But now, being a law enforcement agency or working with law enforcement, now I realize the Fourth Amendment says that the government may not inspect your person, papers, or private effects without a warrant. But it doesn't say a private for-profit corporation can. I realize there are some companies that offer completely confidential email, in fact, encrypted email. Apparently, Ed Snowden was using one of them, and when it got around that he was using it, their server was out of Norway or something. They ended up having to shut down. But there are others. But most people are not going to be sufficiently sophisticated to know about that, or to find them, or to figure out how to do it, or how do you put the various encryption programs into your. I mean, how do you do this stuff? People don't know. Is Google going to help the Obama administration arrest whistleblowers? The guy who blew the whistle on the banking fraud is, on the NSA spying, is in jail. John Kiriakou, on the torture programs. He's in jail. People who did the tortures yesterday, a couple days ago, the president came out and said, yeah, we tortured some people, yeah. We're not going to do anything about it, but, we tortured some people. Well, we have done something about it. We put the guy who pointed it out in prison. But is Google looking for those kind of crimes? Is Google looking for crimes against the people or against the guy? I mean, where does this begin and end? And what are possible solutions? I realize the so-called marketplace fixes. Well, yeah, people will just start offering, encrypted, secure email services where they promise, cross my heart, hope to die, that they won't inspect your email. Well, A, can you trust that promise? B, what happens if the company goes out of business? What happens to their files? And C, how can you hold a private corporation accountable? Outside of a court of law, you basically can't, and in many cases, you can't sue them in court because you can't compel them to give you the information unless you can demonstrate that they committed a crime. Bernie Sanders comes on this program regularly and talks about all the various different things that the post office should be able to do to earn a little extra money. Post office should be able to, for example, be a bank for low-income people who can't afford banking, and so instead they're paying these absurd fees to these payday lenders who are serving as bankers for poor people. What if the post office was to offer a secure email service that operated under the same rules as postal mail? If your letter carrier opens your mail and reads it without a warrant, not only do they get fired, they can go to jail. I mean, the post office is pretty rigorous about this. Is it time to say, the mail is a public utility. It is something where we have some expectation of privacy. And since you can't hold a private corporation accountable, but you can hold government accountable to a certain extent, vote the bums out kind of thing. Time for the post office to do this?
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
I'm curious your thoughts on, am I just over the top concerned about this, or are we seeing the beginning of 1984 here?